And I'm recording right now.
Oh, wow. There's like an actual like
Yeah,
accept, almost essentially. I have to accept the fact that you're recording me now.
Yes, you do.
All right. Well, then we'll do a small intro because holy shit, we have a podcast technically now.
That's crazy. That's insane.
We don't technically have any listeners other than my dog that's sitting on the floor.
Yeah, okay. India, she's sunbathing.
She's sleeping.
We'll change that. We'll change that soon enough. All you got to do is deliver a quality product consistently, and the listeners will come. They'll come, man.
Well, we can only hope. So, welcome to whomever may listen to this. To It's Not All Black and White. I'm Stephen Holt. This is Ken Clark, and today we have the fittest doc, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I have to say, Ken and I were talking about this right before we started this. We were trying to set up the Instagram page that we're going to have for this. And I have to bring this up because I don't know if Nick has experienced this yet. And I'm going to refrain from using the word that I used, Ken, in the off chance that this goes on YouTube and at some point we can somehow like make any monetization off of these. I hear you can't swear in the first 3 minutes or else it's demonetized. So I won't use that word. But essentially, Instagram became this, I don't know, just absolute crap show where it just wanted to be like, hey, you can make an account and then you can try to make your own business account related to you.
FYI, he was struggle busting hard. His wife had to come in.
She had to just check on me. But like, if you go in and you put down add business account, it says that you can't have the same phone number or email or any contact information. It has to all be different. Now, I don't know who has a business that they're just like, I need a landline or a different email. I got to go to Google and get a new email address. I got to go to AT&T and get a new phone number. I thought that was ridiculous. But I think finally we have something up that'll actually reflect the name. I think we have to change the name possibly because that was the other thing. It was changing usernames.
It's like how the underscore is doing it. We already hashed it out, but like if you want to know what Nick's Instagram is, it's going to be in the description below, or I might just slap it on the screen in the editing part. I don't know. It'll be there though. But yeah. So essentially, what we do with this thing is we are trying to highlight issues that stem from, the lack of or the presence of equality and inclusion in certain things, i.e., sports. Life, how the healthcare system might work with inclusion and how we view ourselves in the world, more or less. But Dr. Nick down there, we're gonna get him to introduce himself. So Nick, just tell us about yourself, what you do, and how you got here in the seat.
So I am a primary care physician. I graduated med school in 2015. I went to The Ohio State University College of Medicine. I graduated in 2015. And I've been practicing and seeing patients since. I completed my residency in Illinois, specifically Hinsdale, Illinois, where I lived for 3 years of my life. So essentially, I was raised in the Midwest. Probably should have started off this way. Now I'm screwing up the time. I'm screwing up the timeline, but essentially I was raised in Lansing, Michigan. So, Midwest, and obviously, like I said earlier, went to Ohio State and then completed residency in Illinois. So essentially I'm Midwest kind of bred, which is laughable to me now because I don't understand why anybody would choose to live there because it's horrible. Like
it is terrible.
The weather, like it's seasonal depression.
Hang on. Before you continue, I'm sorry. I have to ask this question because my wife is from Illinois. Is it bags or is it cornhole?
Yeah,
I call it cornhole, but
thank you.
Thank you. Bags. Listen,
go ahead. Continue.
Some people bags. It's tomato. That's a better way to say it.
Tomato. It's bag cornhole. Those don't even sound like Nick.
It's cornhole. My wife is looking at me through the door right now.
That's what I was about to say. Is she there right now?
She's right here. Oh yeah, because I mean these walls are semi-thin in this apartment, so I mean I also have a very loud voice that travels. I can't hear you, but he said it's called cornhole, not bags.
Where in Illinois is he from?
Where are you from again?
I'm not from Illinois. I lived in Lisle, Illinois, Naperville, Illinois, and then completed residency in Hinsdale, Illinois.
Lived in Lisle, Illinois. You grew up in Michigan though, right? Is what you said?
Yep.
Okay, so he's from the Midwest. Ergo, Illinois kind of sucks because they call things bags. Because
Michigan calls them cornhole.
Is there corn inside the bag? Is it going in a hole? It's cornhole.
No, it's dust now, isn't it? It's like sand.
I mean, but they could put corn in it and go back to the roots.
Yeah, when they first got there back in like 1795.
1795. I'm from Tennessee, so I had forests around me. For a black guy, it's kind of different because you kind of have like the black people that are hillbillies. You got black people that are like urban folks, and I'm way the hell over here. Like I grew up deer hunting, rabbit hunting, like fishing,
Drinking bourbon or whiskey, probably. No
corn
beer.
whiskey. It's basically gin. Stuff's like 130 proof. It's my granddad.
I had a roommate in Japan that only drank dry gin, but he would go buy that stuff by the handle and he would just put it in a red Solo cup, just drink it straight. But okay, we're really off topic. So Nick, if we want to get back to Nick's intro real quick.
Yeah, no worries. I was pretty much done. But yeah, so I went to med school, Ohio, residency, Illinois, and I currently live in Denver, Colorado, where I practice as a primary care physician. Primarily right now, do some other things, but primarily doing telemedicine through a company called SteadyMD, through which I see patients all over the United States. I have over 30 licenses. I have 30. I'm licensed to practice medicine in over 30 US states, and I have patients in pretty much all of those states. And, it's a blessing because essentially what this affords me is the time that I never used to have when I was in clinic, either in residency. Residency is even crazier than regular clinic, because I remember in residency, we had 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes to to meet a patient, talk to them, give them recommendations, and see them out the door. And, you start to realize how broken that system is when you're in the position that I am now, where I have upwards of an hour to talk to patients, to evaluate their lifestyle, to ask them the questions that actually matter, right? Not just, are you allergic to this medication? Can I start you on this medication? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, if anything, I'm trying to keep my patients off of medications by kind of identifying issues with their lifestyle and then fixing it. And now I have the time to do that. So definitely love my job.
So you're like, you're not the quintessential doctor. You're the doctor that, for lack of a better term, is like gives a shit. Let's go with that, because, the whole primary goal of a doctor or healthcare professional is to do things. Once someone comes in once, is to do things to prevent them having to return back to you. So if that's getting up, going on a walk because you're elderly and you can't do too much of anything else, why don't you go buy that gym membership that's $120 a month that, will save you thousands and thousands of dollars in co-pays and deductibles. And, I don't think people kind of grasp that. So like when you see a patient, what is like one of the first things you ask them as a doctor?
Well, let me just correct one thing you just said. So what you're speaking of, Ken, and I don't expect you to know this or anybody who's not in medicine to know this, but what you're speaking of, there's a couple different payment models in medicine. As you can expect, doctors, obviously, like anyone else in society who does a job, expects compensation for that job. But the payment model for most doctors in clinic is what's called fee for service. Okay. So that essentially has a patient come in and you think about all the different types of care that you're giving them, and then you bill them all these different codes. They're called CPT codes, CPT codes and E&M codes, and then we bill the insurance. So unfortunately, what you said is correct, because if you think about it, then it is to whatever doctor that you're going to go see, it is in their best interest that you come and see them as many times as possible over the course of a year so that they kind of keep getting money from you, right? Recurring revenue. Yeah. The problem with that is that they also charge you every single time that they see you. So kind of the difference with what I do now, and actually this isn't something unique to me, a lot of different doctors are doing this around the United States. we're switching from something called fee for service to direct primary care. Don't get me wrong, 99% of doctors in the office are still on fee for service. And this is why doctors kind of seem incentivized to try to get you back in. The difference with direct primary care is that it is essentially a membership model where you pay your doctor $50, $100 a month. And in doing so, you can see them as many times as you want. So my patients essentially pay me they pay me per month, a one-time fee. And then if they need to message me 30 times in that month or have 30 different appointments,
that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Even though, don't get me wrong, I am human, right? And all doctors are human, and we have our patients when it comes to patients who just kind of oh, I just want to see you 30 different days in a row. Like, no. 30 could be a legitimate concern, right? But for sure, if they want to see you 30 times in a month, they've already paid that one-time cost. They don't need to pay any copay. They don't need to pay any additional costs on top of that. The only things they would need to pay additionally on top of that is, let's say they come to me and they have fatigue. One of the things in the workup of fatigue for somebody is to check what's called a CBC, a complete blood count. Check and see if they have anemia, check and see their blood levels and whatnot. So for example, if I order a CBC on you because you're complaining of fatigue, then guess what? If you also have insurance through your work, you would basically have that CBC covered through your insurance. It wouldn't be any additional cost to complain about that with me, and I would still evaluate it. So you just have to keep in mind that this kind of DPC versus fee for service, it's a very real contrast that not a lot of people are aware of. And I think a lot of my patients enjoy it for the mere fact that if you think about it, like the people I work with, for example, SteadyMD, who I'm employed by, it's $99 a month. And if you think about that cost, and I've actually thought about this before, that's kind of ridiculously cheap to be able to have a doctor essentially beck and call whenever you want. You can call them, you can message them, you can video chat them. And the reason why I think it's ridiculous is because most people in the United States pay more than $100 per month for this.
Yeah,
That's true. That's also, even for like a low income person, I don't want to say family, but like $3,000 a month is like pretty low income for like most average working people. That's 1/30th of your income.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you're taking care of at least doctor wise.
That's kind of wild because my mom was like I grew up very like disadvantaged and like very poor. My mom raised me on, I think, $36,000 a year or less than that, around 24. Wow. Yeah.
And my mom did the same with 5 kids, roughly the same. I still don't know how she did it, but
I
doctor's
don't know
office
either.
visits were far and few between.
Yeah. If I had to be like really in some pain, but even then we were still on like Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, like Medicaid.
That insurance company.
It's not great, but it was some help. So I mean, that's a way, or that's the reason why I think in the healthcare system, a lot of people kind of jump in and just, instead of sitting down for like 2 or 3 days when it's not life, limb, or eyesight, hey, what is going on with me? What did I do? Did I go somewhere I probably and eat something I shouldn't have? Or, has this been happening every month? The thought of just writing down when something bad happens to you kind of escapes people to kind of see if there's a trend. It's weird because I do that. I go, oh man, because we go to the gym so much, we go, oh, today was a good day, today was a bad day. Let me check my Whoop. What did it say? And I discerned a lot of things that were affecting my sleep, my eating patterns, weight gain, weight loss, and kind of even my mood. Like I know you're not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but that kind of mental space. But yeah, I don't know. How did we meet, Nick? We met through a competition.
Hang on, before we get to that, I just want to point like maybe 2, maybe 3 things out. Yeah. First of all, each one of us is wearing a Whoop. I'm pretty sure. I think I saw one on Nick's wrist too.
Oh yeah.
That should be one of our next ventures, Ken. We need to. I think we need to reach out to them.
It's just like, hey, I have a relationship with them. If you need a contact,
I used to work for them.
Jeez Louise. Actually, I gotta thank Ken because half of our contacts that we have through this is literally just all him. I think I'm going to be the mouth on this podcast. Ken's going to be he's going to be the one bringing people in.
Yeah.
But what you were saying and the way like the company you work for and the way you're doing your work as a doctor,
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you guys might just agree. That seems like I don't want to say 22nd century, but maybe still 21st century, but like a little bit more advanced. It's like our next progression. That is like the 21st century doctor in the sense that like our phone bills, right? Car payment, and then you have like your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon Prime account. You have a subscription to just about anything. And they all work really well because, I mean, people are just raking in money when you think about if I give Amazon $16 a month, Ken does it, and everybody else in town does it. No wonder why this dude's literally the richest man in the history of the world. But I think that that's a really interesting way that it's not necessarily just paying for convenience, but it's the convenience of paying up front for what you don't know is going to happen, but it's not in a way that's biting you in the ass, like when you pay an insurance company and you hand over a bunch load of money so that they can cover other people. It's other people coming together to pay for that.
Let me expose you to the reality of the situation, which a lot of people don't necessarily realize if they're not a physician for a direct primary care company. Patients come to me now, instead of waiting for a molehill to turn into a mountain, right? Patients are like, oh, hey, Dr. Nick, for whatever reason, I've had insomnia the last week, 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Here's my Whoop data, because with SteadyMD, we can exchange all these, whether Apple Watch, Whoop, all these different, we're basically electronically connected with all these different devices. So they can exchange their Whoop data with me. Hey, 5 days of sleep, insomnia, what can I do to fix this? Essentially, what I found, the major difference and between this and working in a clinic is working in a clinic, patients would wait until the worst of the worst happens. They wake up one morning and, all this pain that they've been suffering, it now stepped up from pain for months to all of a sudden they're peeing blood. And then they're like, okay, I got to go see the doctor. And the reason why, if you think about it, why is this happening? They basically put something off and let it get worse and worse and worse before they come to the doctor, because they know that there's going to be an expense behind it, a large expense, as opposed to someone who's paying me, or not paying me, I'm sorry, paying SteadyMD $99 a month, and they know all of their care is considered within that. And sure, hey, if I have an issue that's bugging me for 1 day, 2 days, I had a patient the other day who she had a simple contact, an irritant dermatitis underneath her armpit. She switched to a new deodorant, and switching to that new deodorant in combination with shaving with a razor blade caused a rash. So she broke out in a pretty bad rash bilaterally under her armpit. Within a day, she messaged me, hey, Dr. Nick, tells me what's going on. I ask, and this is, any good doctor should do this. Doctors should not jump to conclusions about anything. We should always listen to what you say and then ask questions. Think in our heads, what are the pertinent questions to ask, and ask questions. So I asked clarifying questions, and it was revealed to me, this is a simple contact dermatitis. Like this is not a big deal. And then within a day or two, she said, yeah, Dr. Nick, I followed your advice. Things are getting better already. So instead of waiting for let's say, and here's the thing, a lot of people don't, because not everybody went to med school, not everybody's necessarily aware of how things can go from bad to worse. And irritant dermatitis, if it's consistently exposed to the same irritant, can now turn into a cellulitis. If you're not aware what that is an infection of the superficial layer of the skin. Literally, you can have an infection here that's a cellulitic infection that all of a sudden turns septic. So what that means is that exactly. So you know what that means. So now the bacteria in that superficial area of the skin that was inflamed and infected now gets into your blood system, and now you're septic, and now you're in the ICU, all because you have a simple issue with an irritant dermatitis that you didn't want to go to the doctor for. And now it went from a molehill to a mountain because the fee-for-service medical compensation system is screwed up. And it does not, basically, in my opinion, fee-for-service medicine does not incentivize preventative care, while direct primary care incentivizes, okay, let's prevent this from let's prevent, if someone has potential concerns for high blood pressure, let's prevent things. If I notice the data on your Apple Watch, your resting heart rate is trending up and your Whoop resting heart rate is trending up, despite you exercising and doing all the right things, we can look into why. So basically, I mean, it's direct primary care in my mind is a game changer. Not a lot of patients are aware of it. Here's another nuance I just thought about. Oh man, I'm so happy I'm out of fee-for-service medicine. When you're in fee-for-service medicine, insurers, like insurance companies, will literally argue with you as the doctor on the phone, literally tell you, Dr. Nick, why that patient came in with chest pain, but they said it was gone within I don't know, they came in with chest pain that happened 2 days ago, but they said that it completely resolved. Why did you choose to order an EKG on them? That's not necessary. That's not medically necessary. They will,
Bro, show me where your doctorate is while you're working for the insurance company and I'm in a white lab coat. You go ahead, you tell me that.
I agree with you, Steve, but this is the thing, right? I feel like every good doctor should also you should always be professional at all times and have a level of decorum that you can't just, trust me.
You can't just yell at the insurance company because you're still gonna work with them.
Yeah. Sometimes I just want to cuss people out, but you have to, I have to.
See, that might be, especially where being a dude in the Army on the enlisted side. That's why I don't know if I'll transfer over well if I went to like an officer's realm.
Oh, it's rough. It's rough.
I give all the credit in the world for the hierarchy and the command and whatnot, but if Ken could tell you, if he was a captain and I'm an E5 and that dude comes over and he's like, hey, we're going to go do this. And I'm like, no, that could get somebody hurt. If he says to do it again, the words fuck you are probably somewhere in my next few sentences.
Right.
But then I'm going to add at the end of that, this is exactly why. So if you want to get mad at the first part, go ahead. But we're going to draw a correlation back to the second part for whomever you're going to go tell after that.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to bring up about the way you said the previous way of doing medicine, or prior to what you're doing now. To me, it correlates in a way. I don't know how much YouTube paid attention to politics. I forget what was it, a few years ago when they came out with the infrastructure bill and they said, hey, this is what it is, but we can't tell you guys what it is. We just have to vote it through so that we can read it, and then we'll tell everybody what it's about. Oh, that's kind of that's almost what I feel like the old way of doing doctor stuff is where it's hey, we'll bring you in for some tests, right? And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to bring you in again. And then maybe we'll know a little bit more. And then there's probability where you're going to come back a third time. So you're going to have to come back to me 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, unless there's an emergency where I'm going to have to keep telling you, hey, you got to keep coming back to me so I can tell you what actually is going on. That the Army kind of does that. If you go in, you got a foot issue, you said somebody could come in with chest pains, you're going to go in one morning and then they're going to tell you, hey, we'll give you a referral if this doesn't subside in 2 to 3 days. But you got to come back 2 days from now. Then you come back, then they give you a referral, maybe. And a lot of times they'll just give you the referral to the doctor down the hall from them, which they don't get paid anymore for doing it because they're in the Army. But then if you really want the doctor who cares for you, you have to do all the fighting between all those doctors to be hey, get me the guy that is uptown. He's by my house. He's an expert in this, whatever. But they're we don't know if we can give you a referral. We don't know if that's going to help you. The Army's a little different with their medical care, but I mean,
Steve, I actually have a bunch of patients who are in the Army and other armed forces and use me as their doctor, not their primary doctor. They use me as their secondary doctor, and then literally will send me all the documents that the Army, essentially whatever the Army doctors are recommend, they will send it to me and say, what do you, given all of this,
give me my second party opinion.
What do you, exactly, a second opinion. And I mean, sometimes that has essentially rendered care in my mind that's redundant, or rather sometimes omits certain requisites that I think in my mind, I'm no, why are they skipping out on this? They need to add this other test. They need to add this other evaluation. So yeah,
a lot of time that's on us to ask for those, but obviously we don't know them. And I think Ken could address this as well, being probably a PL at some time. A lot of guys will go in, and gals, girls especially with like hips and knees, dudes with like shoulders, wrists, or like chest, or what, just structural issues like bones. And you're like, hey, this really hurts. Like, it hurts for me to extend or to flex it or to maneuver it, doing certain lifts, like picking up generators, moving trailers, trucks, whatever. And the doctor would be like, okay, we're going to put you on a PT plan. Here's the sheet of paper that has like 6 stretches on the front, 6 on the back. And I need you to go home every day and do this. And you get what's called a profile, possibly. And you have to almost argue with them like, hey, I need something that we've had soldiers I've seen that tear their ACL. They're waiting on surgery, which surgeries in the Army don't come very quickly.
Yeah,
so you got like 6 months of a torn ACL. They give you a leg brace and they say, hey, here are your stretches. Yeah. Now, when you go to PT in the morning, they're like, oh, they don't call you a cripple, but they're like, hey, like all the profiles fall out, go over here, and you guys go do your stretches. But then during the day, most people with a torn ACL would be on the couch, either icing, heating, doing whatever therapy they're given, and they would stay home. But we have it where it's like, no. You think you're getting time off for this? No. You're gonna get con leave after you get this surgery. So
and that's 30 days.
Yeah. And then 30 days to recover from an ACL injury. But hey, there's nothing we can do about Army medicine.
I've had a ton of so it's kind of like the PL, like your leadership, your platoon sergeant, the officer in charge of platoon leader are essentially your first line of healthcare. And I say that because and this is 100% true. We've had kids come in or soldiers come in, they're like, oh my God, like I was running the other day and I rolled my ankle, and we're like, okay, you're walking fine now. And they go, well, I need to, I think I need to get it checked out. I was always the one that was kind of a little bit more educated in how, the body and kinesiology and what goes on when you do certain things. Yep. I would go, hey, have you been to the hospital, or did you go to this thing called sick call, where they have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to this clinic, see this medic who is an E5. And just for the people that don't know this,
that dude doesn't have any education.
They have no medical education whatsoever. And they sit there and they just tell you, oh yeah, it seems like it's this. I can maybe get you an appointment with the PA that literally is the doctor. He's the doctor for an entire battalion of soldiers. And that's upwards of like 1,200 soldiers in a battalion. Wow. Yes. And he's the doctor for all those guys and gals. And those appointments are like a week or 2 out, and most people go, you know what, don't even worry about it. They just go to the emergency room after work. Let's go to the emergency room and go, hey, I'm broken. And then people complain about, oh, you think the emergency rooms in the real world are bad, like civilian world are bad? The ones on base are worse. So going back to that whole, they're your first primary line of care, that's a real thing where I would go, hey, I think you should go to sick call, or I would call the PA and be like, hey, doc, such and such, this person's been in here 3 times with the same thing. They've said they're peeing blood. I think you need to see him. And he goes, okay, just send him at 12 o'clock. And he fits 2 patients. He essentially brings one in that has
puts them in 2 of the rooms right next to each other.
Yeah, right next to each other, just walking back and forth. Mm-hmm. And it's just insane. But yeah, that's kind of what we dealt with I dealt with for 12 years. Yeah. Steve's still dealing with it. He's still, got that pickle stone.
You just got a better job. Yeah, simmer down over there.
So great.
So Steve mentioned something earlier that I just want you guys, I have my opinion on it. I want you guys' opinion before I share mine. But with all these different devices, right? Whoop, Apple Watch, all these different connected devices. What is, what's your general opinion on these things?
You want first? You want first crack?
Yeah, I'll crack at this one first. I wear 2. I wear the Whoop, and I wear a Garmin Fortrex 745. That's not a shameless plug. If they want to send us money, that'd be great. But
post Army paycheck right there.
Post Army paycheck. But yeah, they
I know you bought both of those things cash pretty much.
I did. I'll pay for everything in cash. And Nick even knows I'm like, nope, I'm cash. I'm gonna use a credit card. But yeah, I think that they are really good tools to judge how your performance is going to go for the next day if you're an athlete, or if you're mildly not even competitive, just active in general, whether you just go down the street and you run every other day, for your health, or you go and do competitive mountain biking, whatever. It's essentially that aspect of it mixed with the recovery portion of it, because funny enough, this Garmin, I'm pretty sure your Apple does it too, where it gives you a body battery score and a what they could call just their own sleep recovery score that Whoop has as well. Whoop's recovery stuff is way better, in my opinion, than any other thing out there. I just have a problem with the HRV and resting heart rate that it does back and forth, because these two things are drastically different. This one's 5 beats higher than this one.
Your HRV has to be fucking crazy.
No, it's like in the 40s. It's never been over 62.
Well, first of all, have you looked at their website and seen the data, like the chart of like where your HRV normally gets to at certain ages?
Wait, what, really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
So if you go under the app and then you go under like it's not tutorial, but it's like information, it'll take you to like the site. And then there's like a tab that's like, what is HRV? If you read that whole thing, I sat there and read it because there was like a week I was in the 90s, down to the 30s, up to the 40, back up to the 90s, 70s, 80s. I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I read all that, and it got really educational fast, and they didn't use big words. So for me, that is primo stuff, not very big words. So for me, I think, first of all, if we're going to talk to Whoop here in a little bit, I won't say anything bad about my previous experience, other than the new Whoop that they sent me. The first one didn't work out of the box. So I was a little upset about that, but they handled customer service very well. I think I had another one. I had the issue on a Friday. I had another one by Tuesday the next week. And granted, I'm just a really impatient person. So
you were like next day shipping.
Dude, I was like, that thing better have a first class flight seat to itself on a
Buckle it
Delta. I don't care what you got to do. That thing better have its own seat, and there got to be a guy in the airport delivering this to me at this point. But I got it, and it was fine, and I get to keep the other strap too. So now I think I'm gonna have 2 black straps. I got to send back the other thing in a minute. But Whoop, I think I did the Apple Watch for a little bit. My wife actually has my old Apple Watch, and now she actually has my old Whoop. So she really enjoys the Whoop. I think so far, just because it gives her like a score, something to achieve every day. So for somebody like her who goes into the gym and it's like, it is about just health and wellness. It's not about PRing. It's not about being the strongest woman in the gym or anything. It's just like, hey, let me get up, let me go do something and exercise today. And then on the backside, it's a little bit of like competitiveness, because she is a little competitive. So at the minimum, I think Whoop does that for a lot of people, where you just kind of get something to achieve and work towards every day. I'm sure Garmin does the same. I think Apple Watch pretty much does the same. The only thing is with the Apple Watch, I feel like they're like the service itself, or like I don't know how you would say it. Maybe it's just the technology in it. I think like the interface with like the person, that I think could use some work. But like that's the difference between like if you have different cars and like they have the big dashboards now where you have different interfaces and apps and whatnot. I think Apple just has too many apps for that. Whoop, though, I think the interface with the person is great. The interface with community is really good. I think I'm in like 5 different groups.
Yeah.
The gym itself has its own like 8 or 9 person group now where we can talk trash, see recovery. We can talk shit when like somebody's recovery is like in the 20s, and it's like,
and then you saw that Instagram story of them being out the night before, and you're like, I know why that happened.
Exactly, right. And then they even had it like the interface with community, where like they showed Patrick Mahomes probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago in the the divisional round, when he got his comeback and he gets in the huddle in the fourth quarter, his heart rate was at like 85. And they're like, this dude, was he asleep on the last drive of the fourth quarter? Like, that's where you're at, is like 85 heart rate.
He's like, this is okay.
There's some people who probably sleep at that fucking heart rate.
Yeah.
And he's leading a fourth quarter drive. So I think Whoop has done a great job at making it affordable. I know there's some people that pay the capital up front, but like the $30 a month, which I do, really makes it easy because then at any time I can like just drop it and send it back or just keep it, whatever they deal. And then once you look at the actual analytics, like in your weekly or monthly report, that Apple is not done
at all.
If anybody is taking their fitness super seriously, regardless of what sport you're trying to do, triathlons or rowing, swimming, CrossFit, football, baseball, etc., even like soccer and all that kind of stuff, you can do ultimate frisbee and this thing will help you. But I feel like we're giving an ad at this point.
Yeah, we're pretty much selling them.
Yeah, but
no, I'm just always curious what people's opinion is, not necessarily on Whoop. I think you guys you zone in a little too much on Whoop, which is completely fine. But I'm just talking more about, because man, I'm Steve,
are you just talking about what my general opinion is on all of them?
Yeah, on just connected devices. And Steve, Ken's probably already told you, man, but like I'm like a super nerd, and I have no shame about it.
Yeah,
I have no shame. I truly don't care, right? The amount of devices I use in addition to the Apple Watch and Whoop like would blow your mind. But here's my general consensus on them. They're absolutely amazing. We're basically living at a time where you do not need a doctor. Obviously, do we as doctors still have utility from a preventative medicine standpoint, and maybe advising lifestyle modifications and possibly treating chronic diseases if you have them? Absolutely, we do. I'm not saying we don't, but the fact that we now have a device, right? Let's say with the Apple Watch that can literally tell me my oxygen saturation, can tell me the trend of it over time, my resting heart rate trend, can tell me how many steps I took in total yesterday, how many flights of stairs I climbed, my VO2 trend in time, right? Whether it's gone up or down. The Apple Watch can literally tell you when you're in an environment that is too loud. Steve, I don't know if you're aware of Red Rocks. You know what that is? The
amphitheater.
Okay. Yeah. Every time I go to Red Rocks, Apple Watch is like, yo, you need to leave. It's too loud. Like
you need to be wearing hearing protection, bro.
Exactly. Which the Apple Watch doesn't know that I'm always wearing. Whenever I go to Red Rocks, I have like these special headphones that don't decrease the quality of sound, but do decrease the intensity of sound.
Oh, they just dampen it. Sound dampeners.
Yeah, exactly. They're called, in case anybody is curious about them, they're called eargasms. They're like essentially music. Yeah. Eargasms. Eargasms.com.
What?
We're children. We're children. I swear to God, we're children.
Okay, listen.
Hang on.
Outside of the name, though, they're legitimate. Like they're musicians' plugs. So they're literally made for a musician. So, like I said,
so when you go to concerts, you have an eargasm.
I mean, I put eargasms in my ears.
He has two eargasms.
I theoretically back to back, Steve, back to back.
Oh, my man.
Side to side at the same time.
But no, my whole point is that literally, like the Apple Watch will even protect your hearing when you're in an environment that's too loud. All these and kind of the thing that blows my mind that I don't think a lot of people look at these connected devices and they think about them simply as an expense. In my mind, this is not an expense. If you're the type of person. You know what? Let's back up. Let's talk about an analogy. This is an analogy I always use with my patients when I'm trying to get them to understand the importance of not just reacting to their health, but being preventative with their health. Here's the analogy. The analogy is this. If you have a car and you love your car, would you wait for it to break down on the highway for you to blow a gasket, for the engine oil to become so viscous that it causes the engine to seize up? Or would you do preventative car care every 3,000 to 5,000 miles? And
PMCS, man.
I tell just a motor pool Monday, like literally.
Just check to make sure you're not dripping anything.
My family, like in Tennessee, this is how far removed they are from the thing. I went back home about 3 years ago when my mom passed. They grew up, they live in like Memphis, Mississippi, like right there in that belt of like, the North. If the North were like a representation of good food, bad food, it's vegetables up here, and then it goes to straight sugar and bread and just all the time, all these
Sounds
bad
like my
foods.
kind of town.
Yeah, but it's just, and I'll give you this story, and it's delicious. It's a delicious part of town. It like, I had this cousin that came up to me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting fat," and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Well, girl, you're already fat. I mean, you're getting fatter. Let's be honest, you're getting fatter." But
Yes.
yeah, she was genuinely looking at me like
Savage.
she was, no, I'm gonna do it, because I mean,
I am so
it-
proud of you. I
but
want to be like that when I get older.
the reason why I feel so bad about this is because this is her next statement. She was like, "I need to stop eating fat because it's making me fat." And I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Say that again." And she was like, "Yeah, the fat makes me fat." And I went, "Sweetheart, that's not how that happens." And she went, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Then, like, before I knew it, there were like 5 people around me as I was giving her a lecture on what is healthy and unhealthy. I was like, "No, sugar
I feel like she's
makes
not completely wrong.
yeah, she didn't know." And that's the problem with like education in different areas. Like, they just don't know. And my aunts came over, was like, "Yeah, sure, fat makes you fat." And I was like, "No, it's the sugar that you eat that gets transferred into fat that makes you fat, sweetheart." And it's like a whole bunch of other like
I mean, granted,
predispositions.
none of them are technically wrong with like, hey, if you eat a lot of fat,
Bro,
like you
Nick,
like
you're
it
the
could.
doctor. How much
I'm not
fat
saying
would you
that's how
have
it.
to eat
I'm not
to
saying that
make yourself have the same equivalent of like gaining fat from a small amount of
I'm
sugar?
saying they're like
Steve,
90% wrong, but 10% right.
So
Yeah.
Steve is right, man. It's just nuance, right? I think the better answer for her is listen, and eating in an energy surplus relative to energy expenditure
Yes.
over time consistently will make you fat.
That's
Does
why I
that
tell my
matter?
wife I eat for 2, because then I feel like I put out the amount of energy for 2 in
For
a
2 to
day.
3 people.
Granted, I come home from work a lot of the time at like
But it's
1 or 2 o'clock, but I feel like from 2 to 7, I'm putting out enough energy that what I
Yeah.
ate in the day is good enough.
It's funny enough, I was being a nerd myself, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy myself a C2 bike." And I was looking at the site the other day, and I'm gonna buy a C2 bike probably like next week. But
Yeah, that's going to come in 6 months from now.
no, don't say those things. Don't you say that.
Dude, that
But
COVID wait list was like 9.5 months
it's
long
just,
for some
yeah,
people.
yeah, it does suck. But
Beth bought one at the start of COVID. She didn't get it till like, I believe, like a year afterwards.
they did that to me. Rogue refunded me money 3 times. I was so upset.
Oh,
But yeah, if you output 100 watts of energy into your C2 bike,
mhm.
into that bike, and you do that for an hour, that's enough to run a light bulb for 2 days in your house, 2 to 3 days.
Hey, Benjamin Franklin would be proud.
He would be like, "Holy cow."
I think the
They
best way
figured it out.
to round up that whole thing that you were talking about, Nick, was like with cars especially. I've heard that analogy before, but I've used on a few like junior soldiers, more or less. If you buy a car, used or new, whatever it is, and you run it for a while, are you the guy that goes to pay your $25 to get the best car wash, or are you the guy that takes 30 to 40 bucks and goes and gets the oil change first?
Yeah.
Which one is the one that are you taking care of the outside first
Or the
because you
inside.
want it to look good, or are you getting the actual grease to the squeaky wheels?
How do we?
No, I like that. But ultimately, kind of just capping off what I meant with that analogy, I think that all these tools are essentially letting us prevent or
Yes.
emphasize prevention in ourselves, right? They literally, and Ken's probably aware of this, they did a study, Whoop literally did a research study that essentially concluded that the Whoop can identify COVID positive
Yes.
patients.
It did it for me. It did it to
Ahead of
me.
time.
Like,
It did it for me,
you
but I wasn't
remember.
paying attention.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was, because I talked to Nick because we were gonna go to we were just gonna go hang out one night. So, and I was like, "Oh man, dude, I don't feel good. Like, my HRV is off. It's really, really low. Like, I have a
Recovery's
fever.
dog
My
shit.
recovery is red for like 3 days." And I realized I got in the booster 3 days before that, and it was making me think I had COVID. I went and got tested for COVID, and I tested positive. And I was like,
Hey.
"Oh, I have COVID." No,
We won't get into that whole
this
discussion
is
because we'll be here till fucking 9 p.m. tonight.
until the cows come home. But
Yeah.
yeah, Nick, like, we have, okay, so let's think about this part of the dilemma also. So we
Sure.
have these tools, right? All 3 of us make a decent living.
Mhm.
How do we get this to the 93% of the population at an affordable price that is, or have them educated enough to want to invest the money into it to get them to this point? because we've had these great epiphanies and revelations and experiences. But I know, coming up from a really, really poor background, that if you don't know something exists, it doesn't exist. I didn't have internet until I was in college.
I get it. So that's what I think is a fundamental problem. The fundamental problem ahead of cost is actually knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Is actually communicating to people that this is even important. Because listen, like I said earlier, we live in a world where people pretty much routinely, you know, irrespective of whatever income they make, pretty much all have this and have a plan, right? So they're paying however many dollars, a lot of people upwards of $100 a month. And in my mind, you know, it isn't, I don't think you could ever legitimately sit down with somebody and ask them, hey, what's more important to you, this per month or your health? And have that person say, oh, my cell phone is more important than my health. But here's the problem with human beings, right? Not just men, not just women, all of us human beings. The gold, our most value is not in what we say, it's in our actions. Most specifically, our consistent actions day to day.
Yes.
So if I see somebody, I'm sorry about that. If I see somebody who is telling me, oh, I care about my health and, you know, I don't want diabetes and I want to be on all these medications, but then they never do anything that implies to you that they actually care about their health, but they are willing to spend over $100 on a cell phone bill, and they don't have a doctor, you know, who's focused on primary care and prevention, then to me, that kind of speaks of hypocrisy. But I think ultimately, Ken, to answer your question, we have to come from a place of education. Ken, you see my Instagram, man. I basically try to share as much as I can without, given the fact that a doctor most pertinently and most effectively gives medical care when he or she knows everything about their patient. Obviously, I can't know everything about everyone on Instagram. So I try to give information as generally as I can. But if you think about it, what are doctors like myself and other doctors on Instagram really doing? We're just basically sharing knowledge and information, right? Yeah. And that's not to say that we are inerrant, and that's not to say that we are never wrong. I mean, the truth with medicine is that it changes over time. Research reveals new things. Just the other day, I posted on my Instagram that, sleep extension. So people who sleep longer than 6.5 hours a night can positively influence their body composition, losing fat, gaining muscle easily.
You're even using yourself as a guinea pig. Like you're using the technology and resources you have. And we've had this conversation multiple times, like hanging out or working out, and you're like showing what you have done, the things that have positively or negatively affected your life. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Ken. That's what I was telling Steve. Like, right between the Whoop, the Apple Watch, this that I'm always wearing, a continuous glucose monitor, always aware of my sugar, and other devices that I use. I think that it's the benefit of research studies, if you think about it, is that research studies essentially unveil truths that are accurate on a population scale. Here's the problem. Truths that are accurate on a population scale may not necessarily be applicable and accurate for you, right? So even though you read a study that says, oh, look at these results, just because, look at this. I have the box. I didn't even see it here. Here's the box for the eargasms, guys.
That's not a bad box.
It's so shameless.
Eargasm, earplugs. I mean, it's empty now, but like you open it up, they have all the.
I would have been trying to find like a design for that box that would have symbolized something about sex.
Yeah, I would have too. I'd have been like
100%. My marketing scheme would have been something like Black Rifle Coffee-esque, where it's just So I gotta make this somehow about sex.
Yeah, Ken, gotta get that.
Ken, I feel like his tagline on the inside of the box. Oh, can you guys see this? Would not have been the revolution in hearing protection has arrived.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Steve would have made something completely inappropriate. That would have been.
Hey, protection is sometimes it's warranted, other times.
No. And this is what your tag should.
You don't live and die by the shield. You live and die by the sword, man.
No.
My sword doesn't need protecting.
Just put in we know why that's true. But yeah, in there, I would have put in the box, protection is always needed. Just like protection is necessary. It just,
if you're married, why is protection needed?
No. Man, you don't have 7 kids.
I don't need
two of
7
you.
kids.
I mean, but that's what's gonna happen.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, because at some point it's just not gonna be an issue. You don't need protections if you get your stuff snipped. So
Steve, you can't pull up a park. That's protection.
no, it's not. No.
Nick,
It's prevention. Prevention, not protection.
Vasectomies are not 100%.
No, of course they're not 100%, but neither is the protection you're using. So
Steve, you can't pull out a parking spot, bro.
no, but I can sure shit back in.
Just in a club at night shooting it up, huh? Anyways, yeah.
All right. So
as long as it's blanks.
I got off subject there with the eargasms, but what I was saying is, so studies are great for a population scale, but here's the thing: all these devices make the experiment, instead of an experiment of hundreds of thousands of people, the experiment is one person. Now it's you, right? You want to know, hey, how does a Fit Aid affect my blood sugar? Now you can drink the Fit Aid and track your blood sugar.
Oh shit, he's got one of those.
Yeah.
Say again?
I've seen them, but I just haven't seen anybody that I know with them.
Oh,
I mean, I know Matt Fraser, but I don't know him.
This thing's and I'll send you so you got it right now. It's like the wait list is ridiculous, but I actually have a code that will, if you can put it in the description, that'll basically get people, if they're interested, that'll get them the device ASAP instead of having to wait for hundreds of thousands of people. But
we're just going to create another wait list.
Wait, what was the name of it again?
It's called the Levels continuous glucose monitor. So it is specifically made for people without type 2 diabetes who just want to know how different foods affect their blood sugar. And here's the amazing thing: you start to have this, and all of a sudden you realize it isn't just food that affects your blood sugar. It's sleep, it's quality and duration of sleep, it's CrossFit. Dude, I can go into a CrossFit workout fasted, not having eaten anything for 12, 13, 14, since the day before, because I tend to do my workouts early in the morning, and my blood sugar will spike. If it's a very hard, I can literally tell how hard the workout was by looking at the data from this and seeing how high my blood sugar spiked. The highest I've seen is like 210 milligrams per deciliter. Jesus. And I remember the workout, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I don't need to get into this, be a nerd about it, but the reason why CrossFit and other high intensity interval training boosts your blood sugar is because it's sympathetically mediated. It basically causes a increased tone of the sympathetic nervous system, and in doing so causes release of hormones, so like glucagon, cortisol, epinephrine, noradrenaline, all these hormones that basically cause a spike in our blood sugar, because in the way our bodies were designed, it's almost like I liken CrossFit. I tell people CrossFit is basically 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, or however many millennia ago, we're in the bushes and we lock eyes with a tiger. What happens in that moment you lock eyes with a tiger, right?
Fight or flight.
That butthole pinches up real quick.
Right there. It's all fight or flight, right? So basically everything in your body that can help you survive in that moment kicks in. And that's literally what happens with Ken. When they hit the button and say 10-second countdown for CrossFit.
Oh God, dude.
Bro, if you can literally
sphincter just
like
you can feel all the hormones pumping out. You can feel your blood pressure increase, your heart rate starts to elevate.
You start to remember all those workouts you did in training that you didn't do good on.
Right. So that's essentially why CrossFit will make your blood sugar spike. It's a completely natural thing. And here's a beautiful thing: if you track it in time and your body is very insulin sensitive, you will also notice that the data that the spike drops very quickly too. So here is, you can literally see when I CrossFit on this picture. You see that?
That's good. That mimics like a heart rate, just your heart rate during.
Just went straight up, and then within 30 minutes of the workout ending, went straight down.
And you were starving.
This is what's beautiful. This is why I love this continuous glucose monitor and all these things that give us data. I personally will wait to drink my protein shake until I am just under 100 or 90 milligrams per deciliter and still falling, because you actually hit a point after a very hard workout. You actually don't just come right back to a stable normal level. No, you actually hit hypoglycemia for a moment. So you'll get down to like 50 milligrams per deciliter. And just before that point happens, I'm over here pounding my protein shake because, oh man, I'm trying not to go above people's head. And I'm so sorry about this, but like there's something called Glute4 receptors on pretty much every cell of our body. There are a couple cells that don't have Glute4 receptors. That's red blood cells, muscle, and I believe your brain. Now, here's the thing with Glute4 receptors. They essentially, you cannot take in sugar without Glute4 receptors. So basically with as you can imagine, when your body is pumping out insulin, that tells these Glute4 receptors, hey, open up. Like there's blood, there's sugar in the bloodstream. Take it in, take it in, take it in. The thing with CrossFit and other high intensity interval training is that you can have insulin independent glucose uptake. So what that means is your muscles are now taking in, and that's literally exactly why you see this drop that happens so quickly, because muscles are essentially at that point and see, both of you guys know that like at that point post-workout, your muscles are essentially, they're hurting, right? And they're probably starved of energy and nutrients because they just expended them. So now they're taking it back in, and now your blood sugar drops. So me personally, I wait to take in my protein shake until literally the exact right time. So basically, I don't want to get off subject, but the whole reason why I love all these different tools is because they basically make you and what we call an N=1 experiment. So instead of having an experiment of 100,000 people,
your population size is one.
Exactly. So and that there's beauty in that, because truth of the matter is, anybody can tell you, hey Nick, don't eat cereal. Cereal is this specific cereal will cause your blood sugar to spike. In reality, what they're speaking to is how it will treat the general population. Yeah. You may be Matt Frazier, or you may be Ken over here, snatch at 300 pounds, and you eat that cereal and it does nothing to your blood sugar because of your level of fitness. And here's the thing, you're not going to know that until you have these devices and until you can actually look at the data. So, I think number one, Ken, I just realized I went off the rails. I'm sorry. But Ken, to answer your question, first of all, it comes back to education. We have to be able to educate people. I try to do that through my Instagram and, however else I can, to educate people into the importance of these little things in their life, right? Whether it's sleep, nutrition, diet, exercise, the importance of these little things. And then, is there a cost to them? Yes, there's absolutely a cost. But I think that when it comes to cost of anything in life, you have to basically weigh the cost of something against the opportunity. Well, not just that, but the opportunity cost of something else, right? So could I have, $100 phone or per month in terms of my contract with AT&T or whatever? Or could I get a much cheaper plan for this time period where I can't afford much else? Could I get a much cheaper plan and then get a Whoop, right? Or get a Levels unit, or get any of these other devices that hopefully you've researched and, they produce good data that then help you get your health on the right track, that help you. Let's say you get a Whoop, and now all of a sudden you're following Whoop Journal and you're changing things so that every single morning you wake up in the green. All of a sudden, because you're waking up in the green, because you're not sleep deprived, because you changed your life, because of what the Whoop says, all of a sudden now you do not have sugar dysregulation. Sugar dysregulation in the long term, chronically, is going to cause what? Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, long enough for the pancreatic cells to stop producing insulin, mandates what? You having to purchase insulin every single month. Do you have any idea how much insulin costs? This is what blows up.
At this point, it's about it's about as much as your phone, if not more.
Exactly. And this is why there's utility in preventing it, instead of just saying, nah, I would rather pay $100 cell phone bill and pay for cable. Bro, I can't even remember the last time I paid for cable, but I would rather pay for cable. I would rather pay for all
the streaming count.
Yeah.
I'm paying for DirecTV stream right now. It's worth it.
Right. But ultimately, you guys get my point, right? You have to be able to balance what's important, and you can only do this balance after you have the knowledge of why this other stuff is important, period, right? This is why I think, in my mind, knowledge is most important. But if you have that knowledge to say, hey, sleep is really important, I need to fix this, what should I sacrifice on a monthly basis in my life to be able to get a Whoop or get whatever other sleep device, right? Get an Euler pad or get an 8 sleep bed or whatever needs I need to get to fix my sleep, such that I don't have these chronic medical problems that are going to cost me an arm and a leg in the future. If you look at most chronic medical diseases in this country today, 70% of them, this is not hyperbole, I am not exaggerating, upwards of 70% of chronic disease is are preventable, and some of them are reversible. So this is kind of the pit, the hole that we dug ourselves into as a society. We can prevent so many health related things, and either people don't have the education, or they don't have the incentive, or they don't have the monetary status. But basically, people, I'm of the opinion, man, that, dude, between engineering, I forgot to say that earlier. I'm sorry. I'm mechanical.
You have an engineering degree.
I'm mechanical engineering from Michigan State University. So anyway, between
we get it, Ken. You're smart. Leave him alone.
I want to win.
There's no winning. He went to Ohio State and Michigan State.
Bro, Ken, you gotta have your snatch at me. You win. It's fine.
Did you go to Stanford or Harvard or
No, I went
Northwestern?
to Christian Brothers University. Looked at my LinkedIn.
Jesus.
Then I went to Kansas State to get my master's.
Oh, good grief. That's almost as bad as Kansas. So
where I was going with that.
As you were saying, first of all, Ken, if we ever do talk to Whoop, maybe we need to get Whoop to convince AT&T to give out a free Whoop with every phone.
That would be pretty sick. That would.
Post-COVID, that'd be really easy marketing. Easy marketing.
Or just something cheap, like even a Fitbit, like something to look at your heart rate.
So Whoop right now is actually trying to link up with a bunch of different companies, because I kind of agree with what you said earlier. Whoop is not just for athletes, because everybody in their life goes through stress. Doctors go through stress being in the operating room for 10 or 12 hours a day. Construction people go through stress being out on the street doing construction work. Freaking people in the military, please, you guys know the epitome of stress, right?
Training meetings.
Training meetings.
Right.
That shit's stressful.
So in reality, the Whoop and its ability to combine respiratory rate, heart rate variability, resting heart rate, blood oxygen saturation, temperature, all these things into a recovery score that essentially evaluates your level of stress and how much recovery you need to compensate from said rest. Bro, I feel like it's invaluable, whether or not you're an athlete. Obviously, if
you look at the activity list, not only is like Australian football, like it's as selective as that, gaming is on there, high stress work, and then it shows somebody looking at a graph chart, manual labor. There's even caddying on this, or horseback riding.
I believe
so for me, I think they seem to change it like once every 9-10 months. They'll go in there, they'll add something new or whatever. But now that they even have strain recovery and sleep, the different activities you can do for that, I think that in and of itself, there's even stage performance for people singing. I would love to see numbers on that.
Yeah, I would.
Literally, my only gripe with Whoop since I've had it is this is not. So Whoop and Apple Watch use a technology called photophlethysmography, if I remember correctly. But it's the same thing that we use in the hospital, right? Shining a green LED diode into your skin and seeing what reflects back to quantify your heart rate. And unfortunately, by no issue with Whoop and the technology, but rather location, this is not a good area to get that information. So I've noticed specifically with WODs and CrossFit, man, it is not accurate at times. Sometimes I'll be mid-workout and I know my heart rate's like 170, 180, and the Whoop is like, your heart rate's 130. No, it's not, right? Mm-hmm. But the simple fix to that with Whoop 4.0 is Whoop Body. So now, I actually just purchased a bicep band.
Yep, so I have a buddy who has that one.
Nice. So I'm going to be putting the Whoop in the bicep band, which gives it much more accurate data whenever I'm at CrossFit. So
have you tried putting it around by your ankle?
No, I haven't.
Try that one. I've done that a few times. I did it with the Apple Watch too before. And then like they had the t-shirt that has one for your chest. Mm-hmm. I don't know how great that is because that's got to be a tight shirt for that to sit there properly. Yeah. But that would be something I'd like to do a little bit more often, just testing wise, I guess. But
was it accurate down there?
When did I do that? That was probably like 2019, like before COVID, when I was like fooling around with my Apple Watch and shit.
You did this with Apple Watch, not with Whoop?
I haven't tried it with a Whoop yet. I haven't needed to, but I was doing that during the Open, I want to say in 19, because you need like grips and you needed like something else like on your wrist or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm not moving my Apple Watch up to here to try to get everything I need. And I was like, I'm not that athlete yet. I don't need all this shit.
Ken, can you imagine seeing this dude in the gym with an Apple Watch around his ankle? I would be like, yo.
I would be like, gym. Are you? Yeah. I didn't see it.
We worked out at the exact same gym, but he was in there.
Oh, but I'd have been like, are you on parole, Steve? Are you on parole?
I can't. So you remember, Dee and like, you remember Jess and Gina and Beth? Beth came in. She was like, what's going on here? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, what's that shit on your ankle? I was like, it's my Apple Watch, motherfucker. Like, leave me alone about it. And she was like, why is it down there? It's supposed to be on your wrist. Right. And then if you Google it, it's like, hey, where can you wear like heart rate monitors? And your ankle is like number 3. But I had also, the reason why I did it, I remember, is I saw Rich Froning do it in one of his workouts. And I was like, that dude's not just like flirting with like, oh, where can I put this? He's probably doing it for like somewhat of a reason. Yeah. Right. Or somebody like with an actual degree of some kind probably was like, hey, Rich, just try it. Spitballing.
It was kind of crazy because yesterday I never did 14.1, and it's like a 10-minute AMRAP of 30 double unders, 15 power snatch of 75 pounds. And I take it back. I did it 4 months ago, and with a buddy, Smalls. Yeah. And I only got like 6-7 rounds, I think 4 months ago. So I changed my coach and everything, or I got a coach and been working on all this stuff, kind of body weight. He won't let me lift over 70%, by the way. I was checking my Whoop yesterday and I checked my Garmin against it. I was at 201 beats per minute for 4 minutes of that workout.
God damn.
It was from minute 3 to minute 7. I felt in my brain, I thought I was gonna shit myself. I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom myself.
That's weird that you knew that.
Like, that's the way I felt. Like, dude, 2 weeks ago I took a shit on my rower in the garage because I was pushing too hard. I was at a 137 for 1,500 meters. Bite me. But yeah, the point of this is somehow when I took this, left it here, moved my Whoop up my wrist, they read the same data points at the same time. Because you remember, Nick, we were having that conversation about, oh, this is inaccurate compared to this, and I found out that moving it like up to here made it more accurate for me. I speak for myself, but yeah, I was just,
you gotta make sure you do that whole like inch from the wrist. Because some people have it like up here and it's just reading essentially bone. Yeah. But as you said that, I literally pulled up my chart from that 3rd Army qualifier. Dude, I was sitting at 200 beats per minute for a solid minute and a half.
Yeah.
And that's roughly about the time I looked at the guy grading me and I was like, I don't think I have this.
I don't think I can do this.
I think that was the 3rd round of double unders. And I started doing like the whole back and like wiggle movement and shit. And then I was subsequently thinking the next movement is dumbbell front squats. And I was like,
that was the thing.
We can't quit in the middle of it, but yes, we kind of want to at this point. Is that 11.3? Okay. Yep. I thought it said 3.11. I was like, Ken.
No.
I don't think you did the workout right.
He's like, I don't think you did that right, bro. It's terrible. But what do you got? Like,
I don't know how you guys move it up the wrist. And I agree with you, Ken, it's more accurate there, but it can't stay there for me. It's almost like
it just starts to slide down because there's just gravity.
Exactly. So
I put on wrist wraps. I put on a wrist wrap and I push it up here like this.
And then do you make it tight?
Yep. And it's just stuck there. And I'm like doing my thing.
That's smart.
All right. So we've had a lot of these conversations. There was like 1 or 2 points that I think Ken and I wanted to hit in this, Nick. So as we're going on almost like an hour and 15.
Oh yeah, we're doing great.
I don't care how long we go. My wife and I have a Super Bowl party, but I'm not in a rush to get off of this.
We're going ice.
So one of the things I think that Ken and I talked about with this podcast, not that I think we're going to be extremely different from a lot of other ones, but between he and I think we've had real experiences with other people in the space of CrossFit. And one of the people that I think we both know, being Hayes, Malonza Hayes, hopefully one day we'll have him on here. We'll get him on. Was Ken and I talked about Wodapalooza, and I think we talked about it with you the other day, where Wodapalooza had one African-American athlete who was individual. One was team, but granted, he was like Noah Olson, Travis Mayer. Yeah. That dude, he would have been individual and would have crushed everybody, I think. But representation is, I think, and I'm going to introduce it because I think that this is weird for me necessarily, because I have not thought about this a lot since I started.
Because you're the white part of the Black and White podcast.
Well, so I'll tell you guys a story later, or well, at least Ken later. But there was somebody in my Army career that accused me of like hiding being Black because of my hair. There's like an African-American lady in the Army was like, hey, I got to ask you a question about this. And don't lie to me. And I was like, no, I'm 100% white. And she was like, somebody's lying to you.
It's like there's one drop in there.
It's like there's something in there. And it's like, I don't know, but
wait, I don't get it. I see your hair. Your hair looks
fine.
So if you've seen the texture of my hair when it gets like when I cut it short, like I've just had people be like, are you any bit mixed? Is there any like minority background or whatever? I think you said it, but it wasn't as straightforward as this Army lady. She was like, hey boy, like, you tell me, is your daddy Black? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he's like Italian as fuck. And she was like, okay, maybe that's what it is, but I think someone on your mother's side is lying to you. Because boy, your hair is like, it's that type. And even my barber in Colorado, he was like that too. He said that. He was like, you got some really coarse hair. So somebody might lie. So
go ahead.
I want to bring up representation because it talks to the community aspect that Ken and I wanted to bring to the podcast, where we can talk politics with some of our people and how it represents people in our communities. But we really like to talk about fitness and sport and how it relates through communities. So what does it mean for you being somebody who does CrossFit? And I'm assuming you do a little bit of competition. Ken could probably speak more to that. I don't know. What does representation mean to you in this sport?
Man, I feel like you're asking the wrong person, because like I'm and Ken knows this about me. Like I'm one of these people who, like, I feel like a lot of people go through life really caring what other people think. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of people can get a lot of utility having conversations with themselves and kind of doing a deep dive into themselves and just getting to a point where they truly don't care what other people think. Yeah. So representation to me is always, I mean, I cannot tell you since 2015, when I graduated med school, how many people have come to me as their patient and me as their doctor and said, I want you as my doctor because you're Black, because you look like me, because I feel comfortable not only telling you things, but you actually understand where I'm coming from. So representation always matters, but you have to keep in mind, I was actually just talking with somebody about this, Steve. This is something, I'm about to say something that I guarantee you have not thought about, and many white people and Caucasian people have not thought about. Me and Ken and every other Black person in this country, we've basically, ever since we were 1 year old, right? So obviously I say that 1 year old because time under tension matters. That changes everything, not just your body, but it also changes your brain and how you think. So ever since we were 1 year old, we have essentially had to live in a society where we are the minority, where we can go into a room of 30 white people and essentially understand that we're the only black person in that room for whatever reason. I don't care. I don't care if we're in the home decor section of Target. There's just a whole bunch of white people around you. You need to be okay with being the only black person there, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that I remember when I was younger, and my mindset wasn't as firm and I wasn't as strong in my thoughts. I was very self-conscious of, and obviously with time under tension and growing up, you start to realize and just understand, hey, this is the reality of life. You are from a race standpoint, you are a minority. There are not as many of you as there are Caucasians in this country.
True.
Now, here's the thing though. In as much as I guarantee you, even in the situation I just said, you're the only black person in a room of like 20 or 30 white people. Ken is comfortable with it because of time and attention. I'm comfortable with it. Most black people are comfortable with it. But flip the script.
Yes.
Just once. And any white person who you can genuinely have an honest conversation with, who doesn't want to lie to you, who doesn't want to blow smoke up your butt and say, yeah, I'm okay with it. You talk to any person, you saying,
no,
as a white person, if you walked into a room and there was 30 black people with the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. So most people would say yes, right? So I think ultimately all I'm trying to get to with that is representation matters, absolutely, right? As I just told you with being a doctor and my patients who have told me what they've told me, to be able to share such private things with me. Mm-hmm. But I'm also in a sphere, and we are also at an age where, Ken and I, we're not 10, we're not 5, right? Yeah. If I were a 5 or 10-year-old in a room across a class of 30 white people, absolutely. At 5 or 10 years old, I would feel some sort of way about it. Probably would have liked it. Now, you know how many times over the last, because I started CrossFit in 2010.
Now Ken's the strongest dude in the entire gym, so he's perfectly fine being the only 10 in the room.
Ken, tell this dude. Tell him.
He ain't got to tell me. I know.
Yeah, he's real strong. He's real.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's not strong. I'm saying I know for a fact that Ken walks in the room. There's a gulp in a lot of the other white people in the room. It's like,
and I'm not trying to blow. I'm not trying to pop Ken's balloon at all. But that's the reason why me and Ken work out, because I'm across pretty much all movements except for one that I can think of. I'm the strongest person in my gym too, right? So in my mind, it isn't so much that I don't come into a room and think I'm the only white person in this CrossFit gym. Like, no, I'm sorry. I'm the only black person in this CrossFit gym. I literally could not care less. I literally come in there and I compete, right? Now, by the same token, do I think that CrossFit could do more in terms of somehow incentivizing CrossFit affiliates opening in underserved areas, such that we see more.
It's hard because then you got to pay for the space, you got to pay for the membership from the people,
pay for the equipment,
and you have to make things equal one another unless you just have this capital. But then again, I feel like that's where CrossFit HQ, maybe with the way they're turning, maybe that's something they'll be able to do, is kind of find some capital and be like, hey, we're willing to push out funds to people who can match maybe what we're willing to give you. You bring $30,000 to the table, we'll match you to go get a space in the inner, closer to underserved communities. Because I was just in Dallas and I went to D-Town CrossFit, which is, dude, this gym is $185 per person.
Jesus.
They're also getting to be one of those gyms where it's hey, we're only taking up to 200, 300 members. But 200-300 members at nearly $200 a piece, you're reeling in close to $60K a month. Yeah. Right. But so if you look at a map of Dallas, right, and downtown, right about where downtown ends and the skyscrapers end, and then it gets into train tracks and highway, they're right there. So they're right on the outskirts of the city. It's not a different town-ish thing, but those guys were talking about hey, we're trying to look at a way to get the price down, but the way they modeled the gym was also very, for lack of better terms, rustic and white people-esque, where it's it's got the coffee bar, it's got the little lunch table, the whole vibe of rich white kids coming in.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, like there was a lot of diversity in the class I dropped in on. So like I was also going to bring up when I first got to San Antonio in, what was that, like late 2015, I was coming here for my Army training prior to my first duty station. But I got sick and tired of the Army barbershops where you like walk in, they have like a vacuum to your head essentially at the end of the clippers. So it's like, it is the fastest, cheapest haircut you can get.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want that anymore. I want a real haircut. Well, my buddy Giles, who's he's black, and he was just like, hey man, I know of a spot. It's like right out the gate. And we weren't supposed to go off post yet. So we snuck off. Right. And it's literally right out the gate. I've seen this place since I've been here now, like again, just go right out the gate. It's like this little neighborhood, but this neighborhood, because of where they build posts, is normally in underserved communities, lower income. Dude, I walked in, I am the whitest thing other than the building being painted white. And there's not another one of me for like 5-6 mile radius.
That's
100%. And he sits down, Giles sits down, and he just tells the dude, hey, I want this, and this in my hair. I sit down, and I kid you not, the barber is a very large man. And he jokes with me, but in a way that like the Army hadn't taught me about diversity and minorities yet. Yeah. I was still like a kid from Connecticut that didn't quite know, and he was a little scared. And he was like, would you want like a bowl cut or some shit? And I was like, oh my God. I was like,
I need a medium fade.
I was like, I just need a fade. And then dude took like an hour on me to give me like the best looking fade I think I had at the time. And he was like, all right, man, it'll be $30. Like we take Venmo, cash, whatever. Like there was a drill sergeant that walked in, or like a platoon sergeant that walked in at the time. So like we were trying to get the fuck out of there quick. We were not supposed to be there. But I 100% walked in and I was like, oh, fuck. I didn't open my mouth. They were talking sports and everything. I knew everything about football at the time. I knew everything about the Patriots, about the best teams,
and
college.
He said nothing.
I didn't say nothing. A fucking word.
You didn't even get like you look. That's the easiest way to quote unquote get invited to the barbecue, man. Like you need to
I shut my mouth and I was like, nope.
No,
fuck
like
that.
okay. I have the complete same story of what happened to me yesterday. I went to Tam, it's my girlfriend. Like you guys know who she is. And like,
oh yeah, let's talk about that question from earlier that you brought up to me.
Wait, oh yeah.
No, don't actually bring it up. We don't need to bring that up.
But yeah, like we went to a baby shower of it's basically her sister's best friend who's having a baby now because her sister just had a baby. And like I walk in, I'm the only black guy in a house full of 35 white people. You know what I did? I smiled and I act the same way that I act now. And everybody was like, holy crap, how are you so fun? Like, who are you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm that lady's. Yeah, I'm her, I'm her embarrassment is what I am. So like
he didn't come in and be like, hey, you guys watch Dragon Ball Z and shit?
Actually, yeah, they started looking at my tattoos and were like, what is that about? I was like, anime and then all this stuff. And then
you're telling me you went to a house with a bunch of white people and you didn't have a turtleneck on?
But the thing is, we have so many. That's funny because I wore a turtleneck to dinner the other day, and I look like someone told me I look like Morris Chestnut. But we like.
Who the fuck is Morris Chestnut?
You don't know who Morris Chestnut is?
No, of course I do. You never seen that movie? That awkward moment?
Yeah, yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. It's like, yeah, he looks like Morris Chestnut.
Yeah.
But
Morris Chestnut, bitch ass.
But the point is, like, one, this is the way I look at it from like two different standpoints. I grew up in a small farming community where the high school was like,
I feel like our backstory should have been like 80, flipped. It would make more sense.
It was 85% black. And then, but it was in a county of white people who because I grew up in Tennessee and it was a sharecropping community. Basically, he was a slave, all that stuff that you could think. Yeah. So like, we knew the Evanses owned cotton gins. We knew the Blankenships owned like a few mills out there that did this. And the history behind that is that they used to own parts of our families. Like that's kind of what it was. Like, but that's what it was. And there's no way to get around it. There were instances of racism in my school. Like there was things that people did where they hung nooses in trees and whatnot. And I was like, why is that there? Like my first experience with racism was seeing a noose hanging from a tree when I was 6 years old. And we were driving through the back roads to go fishing with my grandma and granddad. And I was like, what the heck? And they were like, that's for another time. And then
you come with us. Just follow.
They're like, we're
follow
just
us,
going
take
fishing,
us.
grandson. We're just going fishing. And
Mhm.
like, the reason I say that is there's two sides of this thing. One, I think CrossFit needs to do a better job of not just making an inclusion board, but like Nick said, I think it was Steve, one of you said it, but like incentivizing people or business owners to make things in these, lower income parts of, the inner cities. But at the same time, that comes with a risk of getting,
True.
the crime rates higher. And, that's a whole nother thing, with having police in neighborhoods that kind of sometimes increases crime, but, it just depends.
Like, is it a matter of waiting for those areas to develop more, or is it a matter of going in and starting
the
them
money
by doing it with the gym?
Exactly. And I think that, like, being on the officer side of the Army, I'm going to wrap this all up in a nice bow, I promise. Being on the officer side of the Army and understanding how money goes to places when it could go to other places, like, okay, they're going to spend X amount of money on new desks for brigade. Well, brigade is like the white upper class part of the Army. And then you go to the company level where it's mostly minorities because, that's what it is. And they don't have
recruiting class.
enough. Yeah, but they don't have enough markers to do their classes for the boards for the guys that are going out to kick indoors.
That's why we make sand tables.
Yeah, where that money go, it went to brigade, and brigade decided they wanted to make themselves more comfortable because their staff, and they're gonna do that. And while
I'm making hard decisions, I gotta have a nice desk.
I'm telling you that is exactly how it works, and that's the same thing with our government. We go and we invested all this money inside of basically bombarding Iraq and then rebuilding it after Saddam Hussein. Who's to say we couldn't take 2 billion of that and go to Detroit, go to Houston, go to Memphis, and build a brand new school, build a magnet school, build a technology center, give them, XYZ equipment so they can understand how internet.
Damn, actually, Michigan is, I have my best friend in the whole world. He lives in Waterford. And as somebody who grew up in Michigan, I don't know if you have tracked this recently, but not only is Ford bringing back a lot of their car plants because they're going to try to do all the electric cars out of Ford or out of Michigan.
They're doing that in my hometown of Tennessee right now.
Yes, them as well. And I think Texas is on its way, but I don't know if it's doing as much as Michigan. Michigan is going to, they have a 5-year plan, something like that. So where the guardrails on their highways are going to be self-charging for the vehicles that are electric somewhere in the next 5 years. So like they are trying to bring the Motor City sense back, but through electric vehicles now. So I've been there recently. I think give it 5-10 years. I think Detroit is somewhere. It's definitely above LA because LA is a shithole right now.
It is terrible.
It's probably somewhere between what Boston and New York are right now. Like where they're well-known cities, you got enough tourism. I think Detroit will be on its way back. Not to interrupt, but keep going.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna be good.
Yeah, like I see it as twofold. Like there was Anthony Davis was the only individual Black man or African-American person African-American man and an individual. Like he was the only one. And then Chandler was the one on the team. And when I say that, we look at, how everything's racked and stacked the past few years. Chandler's the only Black guy for like 20. Like I haven't done all the research, but he's the only Black guy that that is doing this CrossFit thing at a high level.
Whoa.
Oh, whoa. What
James,
happened?
how did you get two-headed, James?
Wait, how'd you get two heads? Oh my God. I was like, what the heck?
But I don't think, the Chandler Smith thing, I don't think that has the representation of minorities in CrossFit. I don't think has a lot to do with people not being capable. That is bar none. Like
it is
that is not the problem.
It's just the opportunity.
Yes.
The access to it.
I think you and I know, like minimum, there's 15 to 20, 30 dudes that each one of us probably follow individually that may not even be the same people that like they are twice, if not 3 times as fit as me. And they're getting close to you maybe. But like, I think the other thing, like I talked with Hayes and Jalen a little bit. They both had to, start up GoFundMes.
Yeah,
to go to the fittest experience.
Yeah, to get to their competitions.
I think that is probably the only exclusive portion to CrossFit. Is it, again, like I said, if the HQ and the company itself could try to mitigate that at their level, maybe then like smaller competitions like the fittest experience and stuff, they might follow in that. Because I don't think, that if you go to the CrossFit Games, I'm pretty sure you're not paying for the hotel. I'm pretty sure you're not paying for your meals.
Oh yeah, you are.
Are you?
Well, unless you're sponsored. So
okay. Well, I guess I know that's not to use the word like liberal-esque, but or like progressive-esque. It shouldn't be on necessarily the company to provide you everything. But if they are going to make a lot of money on you in your name and likeness, and they're not like the athletes now are looking at jersey sales and shit from Noble, if you're not going to give them that, maybe make that part a little bit better. But then again, like those smaller competitions, they are 100% like it's the prize money is what everybody's there for and the experience. So I don't know.
I think Nick froze.
Did he freeze? That's gonna suck.
That's gonna suck.
Shoot him a text because we can still stay in this. And then maybe if anything, he just joins from his phone.
Yeah. Let me see.
Either that or maybe he went pee and didn't tell us.
I don't know. You think he did? You think
maybe he didn't like the conversation?
Yeah, he probably just left because he's sitting sideways. I was like, he's listening very intently. What is he doing? Oh, wait, what is he doing? What is he doing? Wait, what?
He got bored with our conversation.
He's like, I gotta go do other stuff.
Like, I decided to play with Zoom. I was like, man, I really need a pee, but I don't want to stop this conversation.
I called it.
That's what he did.
So I'm glad we
wait. I actually didn't finish. I heard you guys. So let me run to the bathroom real quick, okay?
Okay.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, he didn't finish. Who cuts out pee midstream? A madman. You can't do that.
That's like self-torture.
That's rough.
We might have to order him a catheter.
A catheter, he's a doctor. He could put it in himself.
Yeah, there you go. And apparently I've heard like when you use catheters, it makes your pee hole bigger. Yeah. So then like when you go pee, but then like when you go pee, it sounds like you're just hanging.
Yeah, it's like Niagara Falls.
Exactly. So I think in the time while he's gone, before he comes back, we'll talk about our sponsor.
Yeah.
Goodr. I'll let you have this one. Goodr.
Goodr. Good. No,
got him.
Goodr. Yeah. I would say we brought to you by Goodr, but I haven't gotten the sunglasses in to give to Steve or for me to wear.
Well,
but they
we are brought to you by Goodr.
We're brought to you by Goodr. They enjoy giving us things, to reach out to you guys. So
do you have a pair with you right now?
I actually have a pair in my jacket pocket in there. Let me go grab them. I'll be right back. Let me pause my video. I'll be right
Don't
back.
Pause your video. Just leave it the way it is.
Okay,
just
cool.
Keep it on. Keep it on. All right. So
I'm sorry. Did somebody say Goodr?
Oh damn, he got a pair. Damn, and Ken just left to go get his pair.
Yeah,
so
I heard it.
Our quick little, we don't have anything to read necessarily from Goodr yet, but I would definitely say Ken is going to hook me up with some Goodr sunglasses. See, he brought his. So from what I can see, not only on this website, the name of these sunglasses are dope as fuck.
What? Yeah,
I got my wife, or at least the ones I sent to Ken. I really like the name, like Ginger Soul. It took me a minute to figure out why they were all black and didn't have red. They just have no soul.
They have no soul.
My wife is probably going to get, for me at least as a gift, the Amelia Earhart Ghosted Me sunglasses. I like the Operation Blackout, just all black just seems better. These sunglasses seem to be pretty cool. I read their mission statement and who they are. Just good dudes. I think there's one female in it, so a good chick. And they provide sunglasses to athletes of all different kinds, whether they're tight fitting that you need them for, you just need a decent pair of sunglasses that won't fall off while you're doing everyday activities. And the names are legit, just all hits, no misses.
Beelzebub's bourbon burpees, because this is what my eyes look like when I do burpees. I just die. Like they're just gone.
Oh, dude, I didn't even know the names were on the slide.
Oh my gosh, Nick. They send you stuff and you know.
These two sponsored ass athletes.
Phoenix at a Bloody Mary bar.
There you go. So hopefully we can get an actual reading from Goodr, or we can come up with one here shortly.
I'm gonna get I'm gonna send out some things.
See if they can get you a flag or something.
A banner, or flag. Yeah, I'll just get them a banner or flag and stick it up there.
Either that or you can get like a tattoo on your arm.
I am not putting Goodr on my arm. I'm not doing that. I've already gotten this far. So yeah, we're gonna
oh my god.
All the way up. Yeah.
And then we're not brought to anybody buy this company, but I am repping a below parallel t-shirt. We are going to really hope, and I'm going to try really hard to get these guys to be a sponsor, or at least like give Ken and I some t-shirts so we can see if like their prices fluctuate. But these t-shirts have been a huge hit at our local gym. My wife and I both have them. My buddy Josh, his best friend from home, or like a really good buddy that he grew up with, is the owner. They come out with just things that say like below parallel, or the thick is like something that people love. I can't tell you how many times I've worn this shirt and I go out.
One too many C's.
No,
you're not that thick.
Probably needs to be a third somewhere at the end, right? And it's not to be mixed up with that thing, that meme of Donald Trump saying thick, and he's like thick. No, no, that's not it. No,
do it again.
Thick.
Oh,
but
that was funny.
I can't do the TH like he could. His shit was like almost like he was saying fat with a PH. But everybody at our gym loves these. I think a lot of people have come up to me and they're just like, hey man, that's a dope shirt. I don't know what the fuck that means, if it's like an acronym or something. But yeah, like being thick, walking around, like that's just like a compliment to other gym bros. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get some of their stuff on here. They do some stuff with Virus. They do some stuff with a few other companies that I know of, but hopefully.
Oh yeah, I forgot another one.
Oh geez, how many sponsors
Jeff
do we have?
Evans.
We have no followers yet.
Sears
we have
Performance. Yeah.
Jesus.
So yeah, I really should have brought a bottle of Flow in here, but I'm gonna do that next time. But the link is gonna be all these things we talked about are gonna be in the description on the YouTube channel, and then on the Spotify thing, it's gonna all be there. But yeah, like
I'll be in an Instagram post at some point soon.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Flow is amazing. I used it before. It's just like Nick used it before, like a competition or a.
Does Nick even know the name of it?
Oh yeah, he does. He has.
Okay.
It.
I just want to make sure he didn't know the name of his sunglasses.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
he's got it.
Look at this.
See, he's got.
Good thing we brought this guy on our first podcast
because he is way better than me.
There we go.
But yeah, I take 2 drops of it, or 4 droppers full before like a qualifier or something, and on like a regular day of like rowing in the morning, because I usually do monostructural in the mornings, Wednesday, Friday. I take 2 droppers full, and it changes a lot of things for me. One, I notice a bigger uptake or a high increase in VO2 max. First of all, I had a 5-point jump over a 4-month period. It's pretty amazing. And then they have REM, sleep, gut, all that stuff, and immune. So try them out. Give them a swing, and my code is in the description below too. You can use it for 10% off.
My laptop is 8%, so I just.
Oh Lord, dude.
Oh jeez. Well,
wait, I'm very curious.
Oh God.
So I was sitting here, I was listening to you guys. I was like, man, I really need to use a bathroom. So I was like, you know what? I've always heard about these teenagers all around the United States being present in Zoom classes and really not being present. They like took a screenshot. So I was like, you know what? I've never tried this. I'm gonna try it. How did you guys figure it out? Because I thought I pulled it out pretty well. How'd you figure it out?
I just didn't blink. I was
I was pretty sure that you weren't there, just because like it was a still face. We were on a pretty decent discussion, and I was like, he has nothing to say.
He has to have something to say about all of this.
I thought that was a little bit weird.
Oh man.
But all right, his computer's going on 8%.
Yeah.
I have somewhere I got to be in a little bit, but the last thing I want to get through is the thing that Ken and I discussed. I want to finish with a health post that I think the two of us both saw, or at least that Ken made me very aware of. So I want to get your thoughts where the average American man, Ken knows about this. I forget who published this study. Ken could probably say it in a minute. But there was a post that said average American male came out to 5'9".
Oh, the CDC.
CDC. Oh, great. Well, CDC. I don't know how much we can trust this one, but I'll give it a shot. I just want to hear Nick's thoughts about an average American male has been listed at 5'9", with a 40-inch waist and roughly average of 200 pounds.
197.9.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I think this whole conversation gets to where we should be going.
Yeah.
Like we talked about whoops and gyms and communities. This one that's a scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like, you got to elaborate on what more you want from me. Can I tell you whether or not, given my intimate knowledge of thousands of patients and their vital signs. Can I tell you whether or not that's accurate in my experience? Absolutely.
Jesus, really?
That's
I don't see
terrifying.
it. I never see it because we go to I go to the gym. I'm around fit people. My friends are fit because of CrossFit, and I don't, unless I go back to Tennessee, I don't see that, man.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, Ken, like this is the reality of life, right? The reality of life is that we are all in our little bubbles, right? I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you've heard of social media being chastised and lambasted as an echo chamber, and I completely agree with that. Why is social media called an echo chamber? Because we tend to only go to places online or Facebook or follow Instagram people who have ideals, values, and beliefs whom we agree with. Now, you see what I'm saying? So because it's an echo chamber, are you technically, does nothing else exist out of that echo chamber? Absolutely not. Like, obviously other things exist. However, because of what we choose to expose ourselves to, and because of the little coddled BS nonsense that social media has facilitated, it's very easy to stay in your echo chamber and not be exposed to anything else. Now, here's the thing. Everybody likes to act like echo chambers are only online. They're very real in the real world too. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I'm sure you guys have heard the quote, you are the sum total of the 5 people who you most closely associate yourself with, right? Now that can play to your favor or it can play against your favor. If you understand that that is the truth, and you want to be the type of person who's a growth mindset focused person, a person who gets, is mandated or is obsessed with becoming 1% better every day, then you're going to be very, very careful about not putting yourself around people who are doing drugs every day, eating garbage every day, partying every day, right? You're going to be very careful around the people, around what people you surround yourself with. And that is exactly why Ken said what he just said. I don't see that. I'm not surrounded by that. I don't get it. Like, I get that, but it's because of the people we surround ourselves with, Ken. Because we understand the power of the quote that I mentioned earlier. Now, here's the problem. In a doctor's office, do I have any control over the people who I see or who come into me? Absolutely not. Maybe beyond choosing to market to this Google keyword or this Google keyword. I truly have no ability to only have people with insurance, only have people without insurance come in to see me. And because of that, that's why I think my opinion in this matter is something of value, because I have actually seen a good collection of statistically distributed people in our population to say that, yeah, I agree with that. That is the average man, and the average woman is frankly, physically also in a very bad position.
So we're in trouble is what you're saying.
Yeah,
as a country, we're in trouble.
It's just where we are as a country. And like, it's sad, but this is why I'm a big fan of what CrossFit not only has done, but is doing to try to rectify the health of people. Unfortunately, CrossFit, as you guys know, most people who are ignorant of it think about CrossFit, and what do they think about? What's the one thing they think about?
Olympic weightlifting fails.
Nope, CrossFit Games.
Okay.
Most people are like, oh, I'm not going to try CrossFit because I like, do you see what those CrossFit Games people are doing on TV? Like,
you're not.
CrossFit Games are CrossFit.
Yes. You're not at that level, and you will never be there, right? Well, I'm sorry.
Don't say never. Say it was hard.
It will be very difficult for you to get there, right? So ultimately, that's why I like the fact that, these days CrossFit, and I hope they continue to do that, they're trying to separate the training aspect of CrossFit from the sport aspect of CrossFit. But yeah, I mean, as a country, this is literally what I brought up earlier, Steve, that 70% of reversible chronic diseases in this country are not only preventable, but reversible. So what does that tell you? That literally, if we just made better choices, not just from an exercise standpoint, but from a nutrition standpoint, a sleep standpoint, and various other lifestyle standpoints, we would be in a much healthier place. But we're not. We're in a place where, processed food makers, intelligently figure out ways to, not only make addicts out of the common adult, but even addicts out of kids. I mean, have you ever driven by a McDonald's?
Oh yeah, all
bro,
the colors.
And thought to yourself, what's that? Like, there's a McDonald's like what's it called?
The playhouse thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bro, do you realize what that isn't? Listen, I'm not, you can't.
That's a big, yeah.
Bro, you can't beat me with psychology. I understand exactly what's going on. They're over here marketing it as, oh, this is an area for your kids to play while you as the adult come here to eat. Cap, that's cap. What are they really doing? No, this is an area for us to indoctrinate your children
into fast food
addicts, because children will one day become what?
Adults. Yeah.
Exactly. Who are going to be paying us. It's genius and it's evil at the same time. And you start to realize, bro, like food makers utilize so much psychology into making addicts of this all. Even, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this, colors, like the colors they choose for the labels of their foods. Yeah. They literally have people studying this stuff. Red. Oh, how do we make it so that the colors are most attractive? How do we make it so that the food approaches what's called the bliss point, so that it gives you not only the most satisfaction while you're eating it, but also it kind of has the most addictive potential. Like, dude, all of this stuff goes into why the average American male is what Steve said earlier. And it's one of those things where ultimately, like I said earlier, man, I'm a big fan of personal responsibility, and we all have to be accountable for our own actions. In as much as there are so many manipulative ploys in society, we all have to be able to say, nah, this is my choice and I'm not going to partake in that. And, ultimately, Ken, you know as well as I do how much I love candy and sugar, right?
Oh yeah, we ate Sour Patch Kids. I love Sour Patch Kids.
But even though I love that stuff, now I'm educated enough to know that is poison, right? And even if I want that, there are better alternatives, especially given my physical aspirations, my mental aspirations, my aspiration to not be on any medications by the time I make it to 70 or 80. How am I going to make all that happen? By making the right choices now. So,
that's a good, that's a good note to kind of wrap it up on, is like, how do we get to health? Like personal education, number one. Number two, it's kind of surrounding yourself with the like-minded people that want to help you get to that goal. And then
three is probably trying.
Third is just trying. You can't be, I think you put up a post about it. Don't be afraid to be criticized about what you're doing, because honestly, it doesn't matter what people say.
Other than if you're
hurting yourself.
That is literally like you were doing nonsense fitness movements.
Yeah, like crazy things.
A non-sequential order that doesn't do anything for anybody.
It's like, I'm just going to push.
Planet Fitness, Steve.
There.
Planet Fitness, you can do whatever you want and get away.
There it is. Yeah, you can wear weight vests. You can wear army boots.
You can bench press a bench.
Hey, you can try to clean and jerk a U-shaped trap bar and try to do squats with it that aren't squats.
Yeah, that's
and
on you.
Probably only you're going to hurt somebody.
And yourself.
That's not my day, and that's not this podcast.
They're going to end up coming to Nick with a problem, or they're going to end up going to a regular doctor and paying that deductible. So
there you go. Well, I think that's a good spot for us to end on. Thank you, Nick, for joining us. For Ken and Dr. Nick, it's not always black and white.
Yeah.
Also, so what's you guys' Instagram page?
It's, as of right now, not all black _N white.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna clean up everything in the bottom in the description and get it all together. But yeah, it's one black dude and one white dude talking about life. And if we can do this in this small little area on this little screen.
Yeah, it's 876 miles apart.
Yeah, everybody can do it. Just have a conversation with your neighbor. See how it goes.
So with that, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube page, hit the like button, leave comments, reviews. Reviews are the big ones, especially on Spotify and iTunes. And we know that most of this is probably just going to go out to our friends when we blast it to them.
Yeah.
And hopefully some people, they'll see this end clip, can maybe edit it and throw that on like the story.
Yeah.
Throw this shit on your story. Throw this shit on your like, not just you, Doc, but hopefully all of our friends do that.
Sure.
Because if not, we may only reach like, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 people at first. And that's like big goal for us right now.
Big goal.
Yes, exactly. That is very big. But if we can do that, who knows?
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, I feel like smaller podcasts have made it bigger. So
exactly.
I just took a picture. I'll share it on my social media right now. The fact that we're talking, when it goes public, I don't know when is this going to go live, guys?
This is going to get published by 5:00 tonight. So 5 to 6 o'clock tonight. Everything's gonna be published up, edited. We're going to have all the things on Instagram. It's going to look kind of clean and crisp with a description. So
cool.
All right. So when that happens, just tag me and then I will repost it again. And then, for anybody who hopefully, if you're in one of the states that I'm licensed to practice in, you can have me as your doctor if you go to www.steadymd.com/Dr. Nick. My Instagram page is The Fittest Doc, all one word, The Fittest Doc. I will say that I do prefer people to message me on Instagram first. I like to make sure that my patient and doctor are aligned, so we have the same mindset. For example, I am not going to be the best doctor for you if you believe that the first solution for any medical problem should be a pill. I guarantee you're going to hate me because I am not just going to prescribe things to you that I know could hurt you and then could cause blowback on me. So send me a message if you like on Instagram. We can talk about things. If you just feel, absolutely convinced that I would be a good doctor for you without talking to me personally, I gave you the link earlier. I'm sure Kevin C will put it in the description. And it was awesome to speak with you guys. I definitely think that out of all podcasts I've done, this is the longest, it's almost a 2-hour podcast.
Longest introductory podcast ever.
But it's fine. It's fine. You guys, it was a good vibe and the conversation was great. So obviously I have no issue giving you guys some of my time, and I appreciate you asking me to come on. I really do.
Oh yeah.
Well, sweet boys, I got to get out of here. So I will talk to you guys soon.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Deuces, boys.
Good day.
Yep. Bye.